Welcome back to PNC Stadium, where Austin FC just completed a 2-1 come-from-behind victory against the Houston Dynamo, which, Victor, have suffered 2 losses in a row in the Copa Tejas, where they were up 1-0.
Yeah,
Let's live react to this one. I mean, just first thoughts on what we witnessed today. I felt like that we watched 3 different games.
yeah.
Was it just me?
Well, the way, yeah, we could have played a whole game. The way the Ferreira ball lobbed up in the air, people just kind of saw it come down and then boom.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I think obviously there's many different ways to take this. For Austin fans, it's going to be at long last, right? An away win against a Texas rival. A roller coaster the way this one kind of started, but in the end, you take the 3 points. Drusi continues in his great form. Pereira gets his first goal, and there you go. I mean, this is what you wanted, a statement win, and you got it. And for Houston, well, I mean, things were looking great, and then it just kind of back to reality,
Yeah.
and we'll dive into some of those, but that's what it is. It's back to reality.
Yeah, I thought it was all for the taking in the second half, but really, I mean, Austin FC, a really emotional game for Austin FC. Like you mentioned, you sort of alluded to, Sebastian Ferreira scores a worldie of a goal. Brad Stuver caught out of his net. He's running back to try and tip it over. Gets to the ball, to the goal line, but his momentum carries him into the net, and he went down. It looked pretty scary for a moment. They brought the stretcher out quickly. He was taken off the field. Turns out, official word from the club is a right knee laceration. Josh Wolf said post-game there's no structural damage to that knee. So that's good news. They might keep him overnight to try and make sure that wound's clean and everything. But I thought that sort of set the tone for the next 30 minutes because it was maybe it's just me trying to figure out the information, but I felt like Austin FC kind of took a back seat in the match for at least a little bit. I mean, they had the ball, but it didn't feel
Yeah, I
like
took him out of the game. I mean,
you're wondering.
I think it's fair to say he's the leader of the team.
He is
right?
a leader.
I mean,
Yeah.
and it goes off. I think here in the stadium for a couple minutes we thought, he's milking it, right? It hurt his pride, but then you see him go off in a stretcher, and you're thinking, what's Austin going to do? Tarbell comes in.
Yeah.
He didn't have a great showing in San Antonio a couple weeks ago, right? I think maybe for the Austin fans, right, they were a little nervy as well, but ultimately it all worked out.
Yeah, so many storylines to talk about with Austin FC. Andrew Tarbell is one of them. I think I'll probably have a piece up on the Striker Texas. I've asked, I've seen this question from a couple people. Was Danny Pereira injured? Kevin Morris, thanks for that one on Twitter. I followed up. Haven't received anything from the club on that end. So he did sub out late in this match, but. Like I said, lots of storylines. Danny Pereira is one of them. He scored his first goal for Austin FC in 34 matches that he's played. It took a long time to get that one, but it's about the only thing he hasn't done so far in this league. So I thought that that goal was really the difference. We talked about it coming in. Sebastian Ferreira against Sebastian Drusi. They both had moments of magic. Danny Pereira scores the equalizer at the end of the first half, and then obviously Sebastian Drusi with the winner late on.
Yeah. Quality player gives you a quality play, wins you the game.
And Victor, I don't know what you think about this. We can kind of shift to Houston with this question, but I felt like Houston was maybe starting to grab hold of the match, or at least it was a tussle back and forth at that moment that Sebastian Drusi scored just before Alex Ring picks up a yellow card. Fafa Picault's dribbling into the box, drags him down. Then all of a sudden you get a moment where Sebastian Drusi gets the ball in the box. Tim Parker just, often maybe a little bit too far for a player of that quality, and he makes them pay. You can't give players of that quality those moments, but it felt like this one was there for Houston for the taking, and Austin.
Yeah,
and instead Austin
almost
kind of grabbed it.
And I think in the way the one against Dallas last week, it almost felt like Houston didn't want it. They kind of invited Dallas back at the end. At least I feel that way. Just kind of looking at both games, they sat back, right, and they never. Last week the story was they didn't finish the game off. They didn't come away with points. Even when they scored one against them, they didn't. It was almost like it was a current coming against them.
Right.
This one was kind of the same. I mean, it's like you have a great play, I think a statement play, an awe-inspiring play, depending on what side you're on. If you're the home fans, I mean, you're ecstatic, you're into the game. If you're the Austin fans, you're like, man, what, we just took one on the chin. Really, right? Sebastian Ferreira, your star, your guy that we've been saying, I mean, give him the ball, let him make a play. And the dude made one from half field.
He did,
and they stopped going out. For him. They stopped looking for him.
I say that it felt like that game sort of slowed down for Austin. I will give them credit because they did keep majority of possession after that, but it did still feel like Andrew Tarbell I think made one or two good saves early in that stretch. But it feels like Houston maybe like you
But I
said,
don't think
maybe
Houston
go
was
after
dangerous
go
enough.
after that second goal because their keeper's out, they're down, they're emotionally maybe not into the game in that moment, and that was probably the moment
Yeah,
that
we
if
talk
you look
about
back, that we say that they had a chance in the second half, but really that first half was the chance to put things away possibly.
and we talk about they talk about making this stadium a hard place to play. I don't think they asphyxiated Austin, right? I mean, you had them there, you had them down. You didn't go for the knockout punch. You were fine with the one goal, and again, I think because you were fine with it, you
Mm-hmm.
invited Austin back, and Austin rightfully so. I mean, hey, here's an opportunity, take it. They exploited their weaknesses, which is the outside backs, right? And that's kind of how Pereira scores his goal, an indirect free kick. But again, it kind of they almost lull him to sleep with Drusy, and he just again a difference maker. I mean that's why we've said you want a big time player that can win you games. Drusy is that guy. Credit to Austin, right? A big storyline of the offseason is finally figuring out what they want to do. They got rid of Pochettino. They gave Drusy the keys, and there you go. I mean that's where Austin is, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
story.
No, it is. It's Sebastian Drusy, top of the Golden Boot race. Really, it feels crazy to say it, but Austin FC's on top of the Supporters Shield standings, and Sebastian Drussy's got to be the front runner for MVP in the whole league right now.
Yeah, for
It's
right now,
it's
for right
pretty
now, it
it's
is.
pretty it's pretty incredible where Austin FC finds itself, and that's the last thing I wanted to touch on before we get out of here. Is we talked about it, and I mentioned it before the match with John Gallagher starting at left back. Nick Lima starting on the right. Those tend to be the matches this season where Josh Wolf's kind of mixed and matched his fullbacks. Those are the athletic guys. Those are the guys you're going to maybe sit back and not have as much of the ball. You're going to go after teams. And the way that you said, like, Houston was happy to get that one goal. And this is a theme that I think we've seen from Austin is they're starting to learn what a game needs, right? I think Houston sort of took them out of a little bit of that. Maybe I'm going to say it was a full counter-attacking game plan. I actually think that maybe it wasn't as much as I expected because John Kolmanich was sick before this match. Josh Wolf said that after the game that he was throwing up on the shortly after the bus ride yesterday. So maybe it wasn't as much of a vertical game plan as I thought it was going to be. But I also think that these players and the coaches are starting to take what the game gives them and being able to play a Houston team
Yeah,
that's
they
sitting
got
back and
emotion. I mean,
yeah
we talked about. I think that the Ferreira goal that was a punch to the gut, and they recovered from that. They got back up. They read the game right. They said, we got a chance to go out and win this,
and they were patient for it.
yeah,
They were patient for it because you know Houston was happy to sit back, concede possession. Austin FC had nearly 70% possession on the road in this one, and Houston was going to be hard to break down. It takes a brilliant finish from Danny Pereira in a spot that we haven't seen him actually finish a goal. Of course, right in front of goal, but a nice service from Ethan Finley right before halftime. And then, a moment of magic from Sebastian Drusy. But again, it comes from, play through the middle. Julio Cascante playing to Diego Fagundes wide, and you get your best player in the space with the ball. They had to be patient, they had to be methodical, but they took what the game gave them, and I think that's
and
a
they
great
showed
sign.
personality. I mean, that's what you want of the teams. Um, I'm telling you because I've seen this here for years. It's the teams with personality
Yeah.
thrive. They take hold of their season. They go forward, and the other teams crumble. And I think that's what Houston, looking big picture, that's what Houston has to be careful of here, right? They gotta make sure this thing, with Paul Nagamura, it doesn't start to crumble, right? Because we saw what happened with the prior coaches, with Tab Ramos, with Wilmer Cabrera, when the things started going, they started getting tough. The situation started getting tough. That's when players start to lose faith, and the whole operation, you start to lose belief. And I think, that was a big thing too for Austin this year, regaining the belief in Josh Wolf.
Right.
I mean, I think he's won the players back, if I can put it that way. And you see the results now. I mean, we've mentioned the offseason
Well,
moves,
I think the
Ruti.
word that sticks out to me from what you just said is personality, and there's so much personality in this group. I mean, last week we were talking about Maxi Ruti, the things, the gel guns in the locker room, the little
Yeah,
snake that he's doing in celebrations. Today we saw the little teddy
a
bear
bear.
Tick Martins. It sounds like Felipe Martin. I still need to get the story on the teddy bear. If anybody wants to hit me up and let me know what's going on with that, but it just shows the personality, and when you got Pollo.
In the stands.
The chicken in the stands, like all kinds of little quirks and keep Austin weird, right? But I think it's just the personality of this group, of this team, merging with the fan base, and it's something special. The vibes that Austin FC's riding. We just talked about, can they keep it going? Is this an easy part of the schedule if they're going to hit some bumps along the way? Knowing MLS, they probably will hit some bumps along the way, but you sort of feel like this team's got the personality and the characters to kind of rise above all that stuff. We're going to find out. But
Austin, well, that's what we're going to find out. I mean, I think we've said it. There's been some favorable scheduling. That's not a knock against them. That's just let's wait and
you
see.
still got to take care of business, and they've done that. They play at
But
home
again,
next week against LA
they've
Galaxy.
set themselves up good. They got, I think, a semi-balanced schedule. They can ride this out. And when they do hit bumps on the road, which every team does, they got a good little cushion here to kind of bring it back home. And it doesn't, it's not like last year where you're kind of, again, trying to swim against the current.
Yep. First game of the weekend. In this one, Austin FC takes down Houston Dynamo 2-1 and vaults Austin FC back on top of the Supporters Shield standings ahead of LAFC, which plays the last game of the weekend. So, enjoy those 36 hours, Verde fans. At least we'll see what Minnesota can do in LA. But even if LAFC wins, Verde on top of things for at least today and into tomorrow. So another exciting result for Austin FC. You can read my coverage of it, some takeaways that I've already got up on the StrikerTexas.com. I'll have more tomorrow. Victor Araiza's got his reaction from the Houston side of things, and another frustrating result. But it's another Copa Tejas match day. You can expect to find us live. And Victor, I'm kind of enjoying the fact that it's not dark yet, and we're about to get out of this place.
Oh man, yeah. It gives you a different feeling, right? It's still there's more hours to the day left. For you and me, of course, that means a more time maybe to mull a couple things over in our writing. But yeah, like I think, let's go out and enjoy the Saturday. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. For Victor Araiza, I'm Chris Bils. Thanks so much for tuning in and with us, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Yeah, Monday, the Striker Texas podcast.
We just realized we don't have our producer with us here. Yeah, Victor's going to go stop the recording. But again, thank you